Okay, so I was on mute all along. Thank you so much, Mishak, for letting me know that I was talking on mute. So I was saying my name is Edna, and I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome, Paul. So happy to have you here, our speaker for tonight. And I was saying I'm calling in from Nairobi. I don't know the ones who've come in, except the speaker. Where are you calling from? If while you're settling down. Maybe we give people some time to log in, another maybe 5 or 6 minutes. Allow people to log in. Where are you coming in? Just, chat with me on the chat box. Where are you calling from? I'm calling in from Nairobi. What about yourself? Nairobi is not so cold in this time of the year, November. It's a nice weather, actually, the best. Where is everyone? Kiserian. How is Kiserian? Baridi, Joto, Metropolitan. Kiserian Metropolitan. Asante sana, people from Kiserian. It's another county, right? By itself. Where else are we calling from? This is Meshach who has said they are calling in from Kiserian. I see 2 or 3 more people in the chat room. Please, can you share with us where are you calling from? Are you calling in from Nairobi? Are you calling in from Kisumu? Yeah. Kiserian is very chilly, pole, and windy, I can imagine. Yeah, I know. So tutasambaza some joto. Be nice in the chat room. We might just be generous and sambaza some joto. The ones in Facebook, where are you calling in from? Please share on in the chat. And guys, please feel free to invite other people to join us. It's a very, very good talk we're going to have today. Someone very special also who is an expert in the subject is going to be unpacking for us. He was actually even on TV recently, on Family TV, talking on the same subject. So maybe later on I'm going to share with you the TV link. Yeah. Hello, Ivy. Karibu sana. Pauline, karibu sana. Please tell us where you're calling in from. You can just chat me up on the chat box. I'm going to give us 3 more minutes before we start, just to allow, probably there's someone else, some 2 or 3 people who want to join us this evening. But it's still not a problem if people don't join us, because this is on record, and whatever we're going to discuss today is going to still be available for whoever will have missed this session. I understand now online meetings are no longer the thing since curfew has been lifted. So people are on the street enjoying. We are still recovering from almost 14 months of being locked in. More than 14 months, actually. Yeah. Hello. Thank you, Ivy. Glad to have you here too. Where are you calling from? Which part of Kenya, Africa, the world are you calling from? Please share with us. Okay, I have 2 more minutes before I start, because I want to start at 7:40. If you have anyone else you can think of who would benefit from this conversation, please invite them in. Let's not let anyone miss out on this wonderful talk. Yeah. Where are we calling from? Aki, today people don't want to talk to me. Why? Nairobi. Nice. I was busy. Is it the jam? How is the Nairobi jam treating you? I didn't step out of the house today. I was indoor all day long. I'm still recovering from having to start being busy again, I kind of got used to rushing to be in the house by 7 and leaving the house quite late. So it's going to be a while before we go back. Okay, 1 more minute. 1 more minute. I want to give 1 more chance to somebody who wants to share with us in the chat. Where are you calling from? And okay, so now I'll start. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for gracing our meeting with your presence. We really appreciate it. Thank you for responding to the call to come to this meeting. The meeting has been organized by ZinduaKaria, and this is an organization that was established in 2018 for the sole purpose of training children who are school going and those who are under 35 so that they can prepare themselves to join the workforce and become productive adults. Our main drive is coming from the statistics that we probably all know, that ILO recently showed that 1 in 5 young people under 35 are not in employment, not in training, and not in education. And another report showed that there is 750,000 young people who attempt to join the labor force annually, and only 15% succeed in getting a good job and a formal job. The remaining 85% end up just either being out there, not in any form of development that can help them get good jobs, or they're just not doing much about their life. And so it can actually bring in a lot of challenges to the young person and even the people they depend on. So we want to make sure that more and more young people who are under 35 are actively engaged in the labor force. And we do that by providing the appropriate career development programs that will help them understand more about themselves, more about job opportunities that are available, and also connect them where we can, connect them to good employers. We also help them develop the skills that employers are looking for. So we've been doing this since 2018, and actually our focus is young people. We want to start from very early, and we start from primary school, from age 9, so that's class 5, to form 4 and beyond. We run a program called the Work Readiness Program, and that Work Readiness Program is delivered in the school. We meet the students weekly and we train them. We take them through age-appropriate material to help them understand and prepare for a productive future. So that's what we do at ZinduaKaria. And the topic of today is very key to the conversations we have to young people, because today's topic is self-knowledge, understanding yourself. According to a lot of definitions, even if you Google right now, what is self-knowledge, you'll see that self-knowledge is the ability to understand your emotions, understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your habits, your behaviors, that ability. And it is a study, actually. Self-knowledge comes from being able to study yourself. And when you have self-knowledge, there are a lot of benefits around it. And I'm sure today our speaker is one who's going to cover that. I don't want to preempt it, so I won't talk about it. Now, we want to have this conversation with you today. Hopefully in the house we have parents, we have maybe students who want to understand how they can use self-knowledge in order to be successful in their career, because that's our goal. As a parent, this information is good for you because you can have good information to motivate your child to improve on their self-knowledge. As a young person, this information is good for you so that you can start understanding yourself and leverage on opportunities that match who you are. So I'm really pleased to have all of you here, and I want to start opening the floor to our speaker. And before we do that, I just want to give a chance to 1 or 2 people in the room who would like maybe to share with us what you want to learn. We have an expert in the house who's going to break down for us self-knowledge. I'm going to ask him questions. He's going to respond to that. And maybe with time, he's also going to allow some other people who are in the room, his colleagues, to help him maybe respond. So why are you here? What do you want to hear? What do you want to learn? Please share with us. Let me just give you 1 or 2 minutes to do that. Someone in the chat. You can just unmute yourself. Anyone? Don't be shy. Someone wants to learn. I mean, I'm sure you're here for a reason. Maybe share with us. Okay, I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to volunteer familiar names I can see here. I see someone who is my close friend and someone I am collaborating with right now. We are working on a project with kids on doing music and careers. I think you know yourself, Winnie. Karibu sana, please share with us.
Hi, I was hoping to be a passive listener because I'm multitasking, but still at the office. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing, and I think we are just doing so much good for the community by doing all these educative meetings, and I think this is great. When it comes to personalities, most of us actually, I don't think, being a bit old school, have ever even done personality tests on ourselves, and I think it's just important to get to understand more about how you can learn your personality better, what you need to do to know the person that you are, so that if it can help you be a bit more productive, because I think understanding yourself is critical to even being productive. Yeah. And a lot of us go through life without knowing how productive, who we really are. And then if you don't understand yourself, you find yourself frustrated every day in life. And I think this is a very important discussion. I'm hoping that we will be able to at least get to understand the different types of personalities and be able to relate with ourselves better, so that then we can be better, we can be able to fit better in the communities that we serve every day, including even just appreciating ourselves. Secondly, I also want to personally understand about, special personalities. I don't know if I should call them disorders. Edna, is this covered? Because I think I'd asked about, like, when you are dealing with people with bipolar, first, how do you even know you have some of these personality disorders? They're called disorders, isn't it? Or are they supposed to be just normal personalities, but now we need to be educated about them so that we understand them better and be able to recognize them amongst ourselves or people whom we interact with, so that we can be able to coexist in a more what can I call, in a more conducive space, again, just for the sake of productivity, especially at work. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to at least hearing, in today's discussion.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Winnie. I knew I could count on you to help us to break down. I'm sure a lot of what you've said, a lot of people are asking the same questions. So we're going to give Paul the chance to come in and start breaking down the information for us. I see there's a chat here. Okay, so there's somebody who's actually working behind the scenes, assisting us to get people to talk. Thank you so much, Pauline. Okay, we have a chat. I believe knowing yourself is a journey, so I'm here to go deeper in that knowledge. The more I know myself, the better. Okay, so I think that also clarifies especially what Winnie said. I see Paul is taking down notes. I'm sure he's going to cover it. So thank you so much, Winnie, and we are going to just go into the conversation. Paul, karibu. How are you feeling today?
Asante sana, Edna. I'm feeling great and very good to see you and see all of us today, and ready to discuss this very important discussion of personalities and how personality play a very important role in our lives.
Yeah.
So looking forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe you can start by just telling us more about yourself, your background, why Better People Consulting.
Very good. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. So as you can all see on the screen or behind me, my name is Paul Ngunyi, and I usually say many things in one, because one, and the reason we are in this talk is that I'm an industrial psychologist, And industrial psychologist is, I usually refer to them as the psychologist of the workplace. This is the one that is able to assist people in the workplace or in daily work productivity. And more importantly, even as we discussed today, aligning the right people with the right jobs or right tasks to perform. And always a pleasure to help people from individual perspectives, from organizations. And other than that, I am a coach. I do lots of coaching to individuals, to groups. And I do that through this organization called Better People Consulting. And I see a few of my colleagues and a few of my friends. Karibuni sana. And they all know, those of you who know me, the first interfacing with ourselves is always self-knowledge. That's the first ever lesson, whether we are doing one-on-one coaching or we are doing group coaching, because there is nothing else we can do if we do not know ourselves.
That's
I usually
true.
say that success in life is an inside job, and you cannot go out succeeding in studies. You cannot go out there succeeding in the workplace, even in social fields and any other thing, if you do not have a very clear understanding of who you are.
Yeah.
So this is an important subject to us as Better People Consulting. And when we are well aligned, we perform very well. And as Winnie said, if you are not well aligned to yourself, then it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you want to be like everybody else.
That's
so
true.
That's who I am. And many other things. For now, I will not exit that, but we'll continue getting introduced to ourselves.
Thank you so much. That's a very important point you've made there, not aligning yourself means that you're competing with everybody around you. So maybe you can just tell us something before we get into the topic. Tell us about your book, because I know you've written a book on self-discovery and self-knowledge. Could you please just tell us something about it? And if we want it, how do we get it?
Very good. That's why I'm saying there are many things in one. Thanks, Edna, for pointing that out. So aside of being a coach and a trainer, I'm also an author. And so far, I have authored 2 books. One is called The Youth of Honor, which is a very important book to youth, people at school levels. And the long and short of the book is that it helps individuals understand themselves, understand what it is that they are able to do in life, and actually go out and do that. So assisting with strategies and means by which they can harness the best of themselves. And the more mature, so to say, version of that is The Art of High Performance. And The Art of High Performance is a book that is authored to target the person at the workplace. That is a person that wants to be productive in life, whether as an individual, at career level, at business. And it is as well premised on self-knowledge, self-understanding, and the fact that you do not grow outwards inwards, you grow inside outwards. And I developed, by the way, to let you know, Edna, I developed the urge to write books because one time, some while ago, I read 2 very important books. Maybe you have read them. And the very first book that I read that was very interesting was called I Was Born an Original, I Will Not Die a Copy. That's a very important title, even in the discussion that we have tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people are living non-originals. We have so
Photocopies.
many copycats, absolutely too much
Yes.
copy paste everywhere.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's will tell you why so many people are unhappy today, because few are living their original purpose. And that's
Yeah.
why that book covers purposeful living.
Mhm.
It covers strategic living. It covers on habits of high performance, and it purely encourages one to really look into themselves and harness their own strength
Yeah.
and be productive.
Yeah.
Another book that you may have read that also influenced me very early in life
Mm-hmm.
was called Imitation Is Limitation. Again, a book that's very relevant, a title that's very relevant to these subjects. Imitation is limitation. Because when you do not know yourself, you imitate everybody,
Yeah.
and you do not know why things are doing what they're doing,
Yeah.
but you go ahead and do that, and just only to see them prosper, but
You
you do
are.
not prosper
You don't
because
prosper. Yeah.
you are imitating.
Yeah. But
You are
also
not
be.
taking advantage of your strength.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. You don't bring out the value that is in you. You bring out the value that you see in others, in yourself. I don't know if that makes
Absolutely.
sense. Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So somebody here is asking you that you repeat the name of your second book.
The second book is called The Art of High Performance.
The Art of
The
High
Art of High
Performance.
Performance. So, in other words, if you want to become a high performer in your career, as a student, in your business, pretty much anything in life, it's a great book for you.
Okay, so you've had it. Maybe later on you'll tell us how to get those books. So let's
Correct.
just delve in, into the conversation today. Would you say that self-discovery is the same as self-knowledge, and how would you define the two?
So, I will say self uh, discovery is the one that leads to self-knowledge, because it is in the process of trying to probe into who is this person that I am. What are the things that constitute who I am? The more you try to push and wonder who it is that you are, then the more you discover yourself, and eventually the more you become more aware of yourself. So they are pretty much one and the other thing, one leading to the other, because ultimately, the more you, and by the way, this is something that happens on a daily basis. So you every day, when you start questioning and querying who you are, you continue or you are always on a self discovery journey. So the more you discover your strengths, the more you discover your weaknesses, the more you become self-aware, and the more you become relevant to yourself, to the people around you, to your work, and sometimes to even readjustments.
Yeah. Where readjustment meaning that you need to probably change the way you're thinking, the attitude, and the behavior, right?
Or even what you are occupied with. Like, I'll give you an example. I for a long time have been an IT specialist. Even today, there are people who know me as an IT expert, having and worked with big IT companies in the world. But look, even when I was that, I still was able to chart a different path to what we call people development or human capital development world. So that's why, again, I was saying many things, because as I'm an IT specialist by training.
Yeah.
I'm also a psychologist and a people human capital development specialist by passion.
Okay. And those two, normally people would say those two are like the opposite. Like, in the days we were growing up, we were told if you're a people person, you can't be a machine person. But it's kind of like you have actually contradicted with that school of thought. And probably it had something to do with what you knew about yourself. Maybe you can give us some insight. What did you have to do to learn more about yourself so you can leverage on, the best qualities of yourself and for your goals in life?
So you are so right, Edna. There are so many stereotypes today about careers and personalities and the matching. Because we think sometimes that engineers are too extroverted, they cannot be people or people persons.
Yes.
We think people that we consider highly extroverted, we think they are the people. And that's a big misconception.
Yes.
The fact that one is extroverted does not actually mean that they are people persons.
Yes, that's so
that's a
true.
very interesting thing that I've always found people confuse.
And even the opposite of
Absolutely.
introverts.
And we think the introverted are not people persons. We have so many introverted people that are extremely gifted and good in handling people and being with people. They may not be shouty, they may not be noisy, they may not be all these things, but they are people. I also know so many people who are heavily extroverted and they will talk all the time with everyone and everybody, but they are actually not people persons because those are two different things. People person, we actually categorize people when it comes to dealing with people. We say you are either people oriented or you are task oriented.
Yeah.
And you can be people oriented, whether introverted or extroverted, and you can be task oriented, whether introverted or extroverted. And that's why it's possible to meet two people that are introverted, but they are completely different. Two people that are introverted, but they are completely different. The way they approach things, the way they look into things, very different. So for me, it had to take a lot of probing, a lot of uh, seeking or reflecting and finding out who exactly is this person. And I'll tell you what, it started a long time ago because right when I was in high school at the university level, I would always find myself very interested with people. I was a science person, hard science person, but still with a lot of interest in people. So anytime we would go anywhere, I would find myself very, very heavily interested in people, just doing debates about issues of life and looking at things in different things than usual and trying to look at things that confound people here and there and looking into issues of life with an endeavor to help people make better decisions in life, do better in what they do, and it would come naturally. So I would, even in IT, I would always find myself very interested in people, so
Yeah.
that even when I was a hard IT person, I found my way to the people IT segments
Okay.
in training. So,
Which one was
so
that?
I
Oh,
was
training.
training,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
training people, what we call technology consulting.
Okay.
So even when I'm not training, I am still helping customers to find their problems and actually solving them.
Okay.
So I would always, I think quite early in my IT career, I found a way of leaving the hard IT into IT or people-related IT.
Nice.
All the way to customer care, all the way to sales of technology, because I think I'm much more comfortable with people than with machines.
Okay. So listening to you, it's kind of like you followed your instincts. And so my question there is, where is gut feeling in identifying and discovering yourself? What's the role of gut feeling? And when can you trust your gut? Because sometimes the gut can be such a liar.
Well, what is the role of gut feeling in this? Very, very important. In a, in other world, we call gut feeling the still small voice that keeps whispering into you, that keep telling you, hey, you are doing this, but you're meant to be doing this. You are going this direction. You need to go this direction. So in people of faith, they'll say it's a still small voice that tells you what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
And in the world, in the marketplace, we'll call it the gut feeling. I would say, Edna, that gut feeling most of the time is correct, quite correct. The challenge is actually not gut feeling being correct. It is actually us agreeing with it. Because remember, in decision making, there's what we call using of your head and using of your heart in decision making. So it's very important, obviously, to align the two, because the fact that your gut feeling tell you that this is thing to do, a number of time it might need tweaking from logic.
Yeah.
So it's a issue. It's a thing of balancing between what you feel so strongly and actually subjecting it to logic and without actually over analyzing it, because the other problem, the reason sometimes we run away from very clear messaging that comes from inside ourselves is over analyzing things.
Yeah.
So that we see, yes, we feel this way, and eventually you say, I thought so. I thought that was the right thing. Just that you didn't have the courage to follow through. And that's why understanding one's own personality and natural tendencies is very important if it happens quite early in life, because then the more you discover who you are at a later stage, the more you the more you doubt your gut feelings. Imagine you are 50 and you feel, I think I was not meant to be in IT. I think I need to move to psychology or something else. Yes, you can do that, but you really have to struggle a lot to align yourself. But if one discovers who they are early in life, then it's very, very easy to switch things, because people could easily take risks when they are young, and they could easily recover. But when you tell people to discover who they are and change things when they are aged, when they are retiring and all that, it's quite tricky. And that's why it is difficult to follow gut feelings, especially at some point, some age in life.
Okay, so let's try and help the young person who is trying to discover themselves, and also the parent who is trying to help their child discover themselves. And you mentioned personality, so I want us to direct our conversation there. How would you define personality? If I was a parent trying to help my child understand themselves, understand their personality, how can I talk to them about it?
So a simple definition of personality is the unique, enduring traits of a person. Unique and enduring traits of a person. So unique in the sense that you don't expect to be like someone else. And by the way, that's what differentiates us from other people. And enduring because it does not just change. Did you know you cannot? Did you know you can't change your personality? You can tweak it. You can modify it. You can
Adjust.
align it. You can file it and all that. But the core personality that you are will remain. So good news is that you can be born with some weaknesses of a personality, and those weaknesses can be overcome by what we call nurture. Because remember, you are who you are because of your nature and your nurture. Nature is now what we call the personality. Nurture is what we subject ourselves to in form of education and learning to be different, something different. So you cannot keep saying, I am very weak on this and the other way because of my personality and still do nothing about it. It's possible to change that. But even before you come to personality testing for the parents and for individuals, there are simple and non-scientific means through which one can understand their personalities, even without having ever met a psychologist, even without ever have met anyone else that would have detail about personality. And one of them is what I call a simple self-assessment. Of course, for one to do self-assessment, they'll need to have understood that there is difference in personality and that personality plays an important role. But self-assessment is very important. In fact, anytime I do coaching for anyone, the first thing I do is to subject them to a self-assessment process. One needs to really understand themselves, because one time I was talking to a client, and one time I asked, so who are you? And what is one thing that you really like about yourself, and what is one thing that you really don't like about yourself? So certainly the first time I ask people, who are you? Of course, the first thing is to really wonder, what is that? What am I expected to say? You're talking about my name. Are you talking about my career? Are you talking about, what are you talking about? Because people have never asked themselves that question. Then you probe deeper into, so can you tell me some things you like about yourself? Some people don't even know a few things. They can't list like 5 things that they like about themselves. But even worse is that they don't know anything they don't like about themselves. Maybe 1, maybe 2. So we live in a very delusional world where we really don't know who we are. We don't even know what we like. We don't even know what we don't like. But for this particular customer, what they told me is that what I don't like about me is that I am very weird. I'm very weird. And I was like, why do you say you're weird? The reason I'm weird is because I am very different from everybody else. Because when people think this is the way we need to do things, most of the time I feel this is the way we need to do things. And I was quick to clarify that they were actually not weird. They were unique. And actually, they should be very happy that they already know that there are some things that they differ with others. And at least they're strong enough to not go by the wind or by the crowd, but they are able to start their ground. So it's not being weird. So you can see how sometimes people label themselves. I think I'm weird. I think I'm not like this. I think I would be like my sister. I would want to be like my brother. I would like to be like my friends. I want to be like my colleague. And it's sometimes not even us. It comes all the way from how we have been compared with others. When we are told all the time by our parents, and that's why this subject is very important for parents. Parents will keep saying, why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you be like son or daughter of so and so? And we, from very early in life, learn to think that we are weird. We are not fitting. We are not the best, because the parent is not aware that everybody is different, and we should not insist that anyone should be like the other. Of course, there are things that we can learn from one another, like good discipline, like the way to do things here and there. Positive influence is good, but we should encourage everybody to uniquely harness their own talents. And that's why I remember the definition of personality is that unique, enduring traits that that belong to you. So self-assessment is very important. Even before you take a personality test, ask yourself questions like, what are some of the things I do very well that other people don't? What are some of the things I find very easy to do that other people find very difficult? What are some of the things that are terribly difficult? Like I always tell people, I think there are 2 things I knew I was not going to be. I knew right from the word go, I was never going to be a doctor, a medical doctor. Why? Because I don't like seeing people suffer. So if I see you suffering and your bones are broken and everywhere, that pain will almost be transferred to me.
Yeah.
So I will not be able to help. I also knew that I was not going to be an accountant. Why? Not because I was not bad in maths, but because it's usually it looks very boring to sit and just do numbers all the day on your computer or on books or wherever. So there are things that you really know that you can't do, and there are things that you know you can do. But are we usually strong enough to say this is it? No, we are not. Why? Because when we dare to be original, we are castigated by people around us. We are castigated by our parents. We are castigated by our teachers. We are castigated. And even when you're very bright and you're very strong, which is a very good strength, you are sent to some area. Like if you are very good in math, physics, and chemistry, you're told just go and become an engineer. And it's not necessarily that you will do very well as an engineer. You can actually be that and do something else. So
or be that and
self-assessment,
like something else. You're interested in something else.
and you're interested in something else, absolutely. So, but of course, it's a very good pointer to what one can become because it is a clear strength of who one is. So, self-assessment, very important. Assessment by other people is also very important. You may have heard people tell you something like, hey, you're very good at this. How do you even do that? So you even wonder why they find it that, I mean, it is worth noticing that you are doing that. But they find it very difficult for you to do, but you do very well. So some people sing very well without any struggle. Some people just memorize things. They don't really pay much attention to it, but they get it. Other people are very good in what we call psychomotor skills. Like some people, you tell them to drive, they will never drive. You tell them to park, they will never park. You tell them to do this, they will ride a bike, they will not, because balance issues. So there are things that we can pick very quickly in life. We can pick very quickly from physical world, from the way we think, the way we socialize, the way we interpret reality. So other people can point it out. Like I can tell you, one of the reasons I think I became quite early knew that I was a teacher by nature is because when I was in high school, I was in Christian Union, and one of the leaders quickly pointed out that, look, Paul, you're a very good teacher. When you look at things, you look into details, you look at different perspectives of them, whether it's the Bible, whatever it is, you do it differently. And from there, of course, I knew I liked talking and doing things with people, but it hadn't registered that well that I'm a teacher. But then I knew I was not going to be a school teacher. I'm not going to be a teacher in primary, high school, or even lecturing. Today, if you tell me to go and lecture at the university, I will not do that because my niche is different. That's why it was very easily found in coaching.
Yeah.
So other people can help you identify who you are, and other means are how you perform tasks. So some tasks are very easy for you to do, others are difficult for you to do.
Yeah.
Then you have natural inclinations. There's some things that by nature you just like, you like going out there, you like talking to people, you don't like talking to people, you like numbers, you don't like numbers, you like stories, all those kind of things. Those natural inclinations can tell you who you are. Those are very important ways of looking at who we are, even before we go sit down to do our personality test.
Wow. In other words, we've just been taken through a master's lesson on how to introduce yourself when you're asked, who are you? So think about all the things, the things you know about yourself, in which case I think Paul is telling us, trust your instincts. When you think that you're good at something, or if you think you're not good at something, trust it. And then listen to what others are saying. Paul, we have this thing of, and I don't know why in your experience you'd tell us, We have this thing of, if somebody tells, for example, if somebody tells me, Edna, you have such a nice voice, and I like, me? Why? I find that we do that a lot, so,
Yeah.
and yet that is an
Yeah.
assessment somebody has made of us, or
Absolutely.
you have such a
Absolutely.
nice handwriting, and then you just downplay that, or somebody tells you, you really know how to choose colors, or you pay attention to detail, and we just downplay all that. And I think what you're saying is that is an assessment somebody has made of you, and it could be an
But
indicator
people,
of something
absolutely. But
to
people
work
ignore
on.
that.
Why
And by
do
the
we
way,
underplay
do you
it?
know why people underplay that? It is because of the element we call nurture. Remember, we said you are who you are because of nature and nurture. Now, when you are growing up, what were you told, especially in Sunday school? You
Oh,
are told you should not, you should let yourself, you are not better than others. You should
yes,
never blow your trumpet.
yeah.
I mean, even if you know how good you are, you should never just say that. You should let other people fight that. And sometimes, unfortunately, when people fight it and they speak it out, we think maybe they are flattering us
Oh,
or they
okay.
are just exaggerating that. Instead of just easily picking it and saying, "Oh, thank you very much.
If at
Yes,
all
I
you're
hope
not
so."
aware. Yeah, if you're not aware, you're like, oh, okay. Or
Exactly.
if
If you're
you're
not
aware,
aware, you
you
are
say
like,
thank you.
yes. If you're aware, you say thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you don't necessarily have to say, yeah, I know. But
So
why
maybe
not also? I mean,
that's a lesson for us parents also, with our children, we
yep.
shouldn't break, because that thing, the nurture thing you're talking about, obviously came from, it means that our wings are broken. Instead of being let to fly, let's enjoy your strengths, your traits, you're told to downplay them. So you grow up also thinking that you're not all that good. So probably it's a
Absolutely.
lesson for us parents who are brought up in such environments to see that when we see good things in our children, let's celebrate it.
Bring
Let's,
them up.
bring it out,
Exactly.
and
Bring
it
out.
builds, I think
In
it,
fact, yeah. Go ahead. Go
carry
ahead.
on.
I was going to say, now that you mentioned parents, that how they need to bring that out. Parents should always remember that in the lives of their children, the most important person in this whole world is the parent. And the parent is the first teacher. And home is the first school. So if the parent is so important, any word they say comes extremely important. Meaning that if the parent who is very important to the child says, you are nothing, or you are not good at this, you are not good at the other, look at you, and all that, that child believes. But if the parent says, wow, that's nice, you're very good at that, well done, they learn to affirm the good things, then they will grow confidently, knowing who they are. And it's amazing the kind of effects that parents bring on their children, knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah.
And of course, the second most important is the teacher, because again, when they go to school, the teacher should always be encouraged to pick the strengths and the good things about the children they teach. So very important people in lives, and they really need to be aware. That's why parenting trainings are also very, very
Important.
important.
And we should be careful also the kind of teachers we expose our children to. So there's a lot of insights here coming in from the chat, and I'll read them out for you, Paul. We have Mishak saying, "Hi everyone, thank you for this opportunity. I'm very glad to be in the right place. As a youthful Kenyan looking for a good job that fits you, really takes your energy. Recently, I was looking for unemployment graphs in Kenya and found them to be very high. How can you get yourself out of this loophole, away from applying jobs to creating jobs for others, career paths and preparedness?" I think what Mishak is asking, how do we get people to create jobs for others? I don't know if this is related in any way with what we are talking, or Paul, do you want to?
Yeah. So this is something that's come very common, especially because today we have very high rates of unemployment. we are told we need to be job creators, not necessarily job seekers. But a number of times I say that is a defective way of looking at it, unfortunately. Not everybody is a job creator, and not everybody
He's an
can be
employee.
employed. Yes. What I usually say is, well, not everybody can start a business. Everybody must be enterprising. So, for instance, you can be an enterprising employee. You can be an enterprising business person. So whatever it is that you are in, you need to apply the best of yourself, whether it is in employment or in finding a job. Because if we insist on telling people to create jobs, the honest truth is that not, in fact, a very small percentage of people can create jobs for themselves and for other people. That is the honest reality. That is why you see even business owners, the billionaires who own big businesses and all that, they are not many. They are a very small portion of the population. So we cannot all be job creators, but we can fit into the world of work, either as job creators or
As
workers
employees.
or as employees. It's very, very important. I think the critical thing for Mishek to remember is, even looking for a job, you need actually to align with who you are. For instance, if you think you say you're very good, let's say, event organizer, you probably don't have necessarily to start your own event organizing company, but you can look for somebody that is doing event organizing, or even a whole corporate that does event organizing. Go and show them that you're very good at it.
Yeah.
Initially, you may not even get paid. You could just tell them, hey, I am here to volunteer to do this because I'm very passionate in this, I'm skilled in this, or I'm passionate in it, but I don't have skill. I want to develop skill. That is still being very enterprising, because you're not waiting for somebody to look for you. You are actually going to look for an opportunity, and you are not necessarily making demands. You are actually presenting a solution that I want to offer some help. The more you are in, the more you learn, the more they realize you are very gifted in this. Indeed, you're very talented, and before long, you find yourself being a supervisor, being a manager, and before long, you have learned all the tricks of the business, and soon you will have yours if you are an entrepreneur. Or if you're not an entrepreneur, you end up being a big manager in big organizations. And it doesn't mean, by the way, you have to own a business to really succeed in life. There are so many people who have made it big in life, even at employee level. You think of people who come up with great innovations which are meant to work for, which are applied in global global organizations. Let's think of IT, think of motor industry, think of big industries that are huge enough to make good utility of your skills, of your talents. You could be busy trying to develop a small organization that will be giving you 10,000 in a month, or 30,000 or 50,000 in a month, but you could belong to a big organization that could easily be giving you 500,000 per month. So it's really not a matter of necessarily being employed or unemployed, or providing job or creating jobs. Even creating your own job through approaching other people is an important thing. So I think most of the time it's just the way we look at it, and we don't need to fix ourselves into a one particular way of doing things. We really need to be open-minded and look at different ways of achieving things. And that's why we are being encouraged to be really ourselves, because we are supposed to see things differently all the time.
Yeah, so being an entrepreneur is a person who runs their own show. Being enterprising is a trait we all have, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. And then there's freelancing also, which is, I think, something you can also pursue. Thank you. There's another question again from Meshach. How do we understand our personalities? For sure, we tend to find terminologies and affix ourselves with them. What is the best way? I think he's referring to, all these personality tests, and maybe you can talk about them shortly. because I think we have around 10 minutes to the end of our time.
All right.
How would you help somebody who wants to understand themselves and they're confused by all these other terminologies?
So if you want to do scientific test of your personality, there exist personality tests. And as I earlier mentioned, I do that. The first encounter with any of my clients, we go through personality tests so that we can build on that. We cannot build you before we know who you really are. So there are tests, multiple of them. Some of them are even freely available on the net, and you could easily do that. You can do even multiple to see if they are consistent. But generally, the two common tests there's one that categorizes us into 4 types of persons: type A, type B, type C, type D, or what we ordinarily call cholerics, sanguines, phlegmatics, and melancholics. Or generally, we are categorized into introverted and extroverted personalities. So each of those are very important in giving us insights into who we are. I personally really like MBTI. MBTI is a little more expanded type of personality because it considers much more elements of who you are than the basic 4 type personalities. And thereafter, which is the most important thing, is the interpretation of that, because getting the test and all that you can do, and so when you realize you are choleric, so what? When you realize you are sanguine, so what? So the interpretation that goes to it is what really matters, because to me, the critical things that a personality test should bring out is my weaknesses, my strengths, so that and it should tell me how I can apply my strengths, and it should also tell me how I can overcome my weaknesses, and pretty much trying to expand to, if this is your personality, then it's possible that you can take this direction either in studies or in career, even relationships. By the way, did you know that personalities are very
I was waiting
important?
for you to say that. Yes,
Well, yeah,
I was waiting for you to say that.
I think one of these days we can do a topic called matchmaking. Yeah.
With personality tests.
Yes, with personality tests. There are some people there are some personalities that will find it very difficult to agree. But of course, apart on top of personalities, there are other elements that will help know whether people will relate well or not. So personality is simply one element. There are several other things that one needs to look into. But back to Meshach, doing personality tests is important. If you have not done a personality test and you'd like assistance, you can see Edna or myself, and we should be able to assist with that.
Yeah, maybe you can just help us. You'll put your contacts in the chat so that if somebody needs to reach out to you, they can be able to. I know it's at the back, on your back, but just help those.
So I just move like this.
Screenshot, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks
but
for
my
that.
number is 0722. I think I'll just put it on the chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
And when we put the recording, somebody can just keep repeating this session here. Okay, so we have a question here also from Pauline. Are some personalities prone to anxiety? In fact, even me, I was thinking of that. Not just anxiety, like laziness, some prone to laziness, are some prone to being angry. How would you connect personalities with emotions?
Yeah, and it even
how
goes
would you even
further to what
differentiate that?
yeah, and it even goes further to what Winnie asked at the beginning. Unfortunately, we can't go into the depth of personality disorders like bipolar or narcissism and all those others. But yes, your personality predisposes you to some conditions, including those conditions of personality disorders. Your personality predisposes you to quick anger, for instance, or to being very slow, so that we are likely to label you as, let's say, lazy, um, and without prejudice. For instance, just to give an example, on top of my mind, I could say, for instance, cholerics are usually heavily predisposed to being extremely aggressive. You know, aggression is such a strong element of theirs, and they can be quite aggressive, both positively and negatively. Remember, your personality is a double-edged sword. So your strength can actually play weakness in some situations, and your weakness can play strength in some situations. So, for instance, if you have two patients, that can be good and bad at the same time, because if you are too patient person by nature, and people like phlegmatics are usually very, very patient, it can be good because you easily probably get along with people and you don't ruffle feathers too much. But the challenge with that is that if you are too much, then people could easily take you for granted, or you lose opportunities, or things will not get done on time, and things like that. So if you look at people like sanguines, they are very outgoing, very outspoken. So when they require to rise to the occasion, uh, and help a situation where everybody is fearful, they will come out and do things. But at the same time, they can be a weakness because they will as well be talking and talking too much, even when they are not needed to speak. So the same thing with the cholerics, who are too quiet. They can be too quiet, so that even when they have an amazing, great idea, it never comes out, and that just goes sometimes to the grave. Why? Because it's not harnessed, it's not helped. So the purpose of personality testing is to know one's own strength, so that they can learn how to overcome their weaknesses and to take advantage of their strengths. Edna, you just alluded that, yes, is it yesterday? Last week I was in a show, and we were discussing something called Pareto rule, or Pareto principle, which is 80-20 rule. And we say you need to discover your strength, so that majority of the time you spend 80% of the time building and taking advantage of your strengths, and probably not too focused on your weaknesses, so that you lose the essence of your strengths. So don't spend too much time or pay too much attention to your strengths, or rather to your weaknesses, so that your strengths are lost. So it's got to be a good balance. But the simple answer to Pauline's question, yes, we are all predisposed to great weaknesses because of our personalities, but also to great strengths based on our personalities. The question is, are you going to heavily invest in your strengths, so that you can be of great benefit to the world, to yourself, to your family, and to people around you? And are you going to take control, or to uh, strengthen your weaknesses, or to overcome your weaknesses, so that you don't end up in trouble because of those weaknesses?
Yeah, and see, Pauline is agreeing your personality is a double-edged sword. That's really a very strong point. So that even if your personality disposes you to anxiety, it can be both a good thing and probably not such a great thing, depending on the circumstance or the environment, or even how you use it. Wow. So for me,
Absolutely.
what I'm taking is, understanding yourself helps you to have self-confidence. And I would like you to just tell us, what's the role of success in life and career? Or what's the role of self-confidence in success of life and career? Because we're here talking about self-knowledge for career success. And from all the conversation, I can sum it up to, it's really important to know yourself, because it gives you a certain level of confidence. But what can confidence do for you in your life and in your career?
Yeah. So very important question there. First, when you know yourself so well, you stop wasting a lot of time and energy trying to be somebody else. You are right away confident of yourself, and not thinking that you are this weird person, or this very person you don't understand. So the fact that you are different from other people does not necessarily mean that you are not right, or the other people are right and you are wrong. No. So you need to be confident and knowing that, yes, you may not be like anybody else, but you are yourself. And once you know yourself in terms of your strengths, then what you do is you go ahead and look into the marketplace and say, these are my strengths, this is my personality. Which career path can I follow? Which market opportunities do exist that I can take advantage of? You have seen people who have done very well in music, but you also have known people who have done very badly in music.
Yeah.
There are people who've done very well in arts, but there are also other people who've done very badly in arts. There are people who've done very well as engineers, but there are also other people who've done terribly bad as engineers. In other words, it is not the name of the career that matters. It is the alignment that you give it. If you know your strengths and you align it to your career, it doesn't matter. I can tell you what it is. And you only need now to see how do you then put it into the marketplace, because that unique element that you do have is so needed in the marketplace. All you need to know is which area, for instance, do I need it? And there are so many ways of doing it. And this is not only just for a personality, even for a career. For instance, lawyers can be so many things. You can be litigation lawyer, you can be family law lawyer, you can be commercial law lawyer. Just you are a lawyer, but you can go to a channel that actually takes advantage of your strengths. Same thing with the medicine.
And engineering.
You are a doctor of very different, and engineering, or pretty much, or
Even music.
even journalism,
Yeah.
even music.
Even teaching.
We are all you know, and by the way, you can mention now all careers.
Yes.
In all careers, you can fit in differently. Like I told you, I'm a teacher, but
Yes.
you'll never find me in a school teaching in high school or at the university. I teach people about life. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you take me to the university, I'll be too bored or something like that. So I'm a teacher, but not at school. There are other people who are teachers and they will go to primary school, to secondary school.
Yeah.
They will teach different types of things, different subjects differently. So personality alignment really helps you know who you are, and allows you to align yourself with the opportunities that do exist in the marketplace.
Which are
And
strong,
remember,
which work
and
for you.
yep, and remember, by the way, you also got to remember where you are, because your personality may find some opportunities in Kenya, but those opportunities are not necessarily very strong in Uganda or in US or in wherever. So it depends on where it is that you are. But wherever you are, you can still find strengths or market opportunities that match your strengths.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Winnie here says, sometimes it's upbringing. Most of us were brought up to be seen and never be heard. We were brought up to the false humility. So we find it hard to believe when we are complimented on our strengths. Wow, yes, that's so true, Winnie. And she says, teacher-centered education, where we were not given much opportunity to showcase our natural gifts, as that came across as vanity. So I guess this is a very good point for us, even parents, parents who are raising teenagers, children who are still in self-discovery mode. Let us help them celebrate their strengths. And even when weaknesses show up, let us be the ones who are there showing them that weaknesses can be developed. And maybe that's the last thing I would like you to talk about today, Paul, before we close this session. How would you encourage a parent who is trying to help a child develop their weaknesses? What are some of the strategies they can apply? And just bear in mind, we've been saying that we come from that generation where we were not taught to celebrate weaknesses. So we don't have that background info. So you're starting us from the beginning. How do we help our children celebrate their weaknesses?
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
as we learn to celebrate our own weaknesses.
Absolutely. So in behavioral psychology, we say what can be learned can be unlearned. So if parents learned not to appreciate or they were not appreciated, I think we can learn to appreciate others. The key to training our children to overcome their weaknesses is first to strengthen their strengths or to bring up their strengths. So it is what we do with what we have or with what we are endowed with that helps diminish these other things. So we would call it, so you can promote the strengths or the good things that the child is doing. Like I remember when I was young, I learned very early in life to be very organized and to clean utensils very well, just because my mom would tell me, "Wow, you are very good in this," even when sometimes I had not done it very well, but I was encouraged to do it that way, and maybe that helped me overcome some weaknesses that I had. So the starting point of overcoming weaknesses is strengthening the strengths or appreciating the strengths. Because many times we get lost in weaknesses and we actually pull down the strengths. Now, but the other thing, of course, is to acknowledge that everybody has weaknesses. So if a child, for instance, has a weakness for, say, uh, let's even just call it disorganized. One is very disorganized. So what can they do to help them overcome that? It is simply to create some strategies that will help them by and by to become organized, so that at the slightest improvement, they are encouraged and they are appreciated. You now can see the impact of parenting, because in where most of the time when you're parenting, we keep pointing and actually amplifying the weakness, and we say, "Don't this, you have always done this, or you can't do things well," and so on. So the thing is to flip it the other way. Even when they come with good grades or rather bad grades, you can always look at what you can applaud. For instance, if one had scored 350 last term and they come with 320 this term, instead of castigating them for the lost 20 marks between 340 and 320, there is something they may have increased in the subjects. So the most important thing, look at what worked. Then applaud that first. Then look and have them evaluate themselves and say, so why do you think this didn't work? What do you think we can do to make it better next time? What you'll be shocked and to realize is that everybody knows their weaknesses. If only they are led to know, to actually suggest ways of resolving them, they already know. They will tell you, I think I was not very keen here. I think I didn't read very much because I knew anyway I was poor in it. So when you acknowledge the strength, then you also acknowledge, of course, their weaknesses, but they can be worked on, and you actually assist them, not to castigate them, not to bring them down. It is actually to assist, because it's a weakness anyway. It's natural weakness. So what can they do? They can't help themselves. So they need assistance, and one of the best assistance is acknowledging it and help. We call it diminishing it. Help diminish it with time. Of course, don't expect it's going to go overnight. It has to be something that the parent must be very patient, and they will have to take to be very deliberate in helping the child do that. That now you can see why we really need to sensitize parents on parenting, because that also does not come naturally. Appreciating that people have weaknesses and that they can overcome them is not natural. It is something that has to be deliberate.
Wow, thank you so much. So there's somewhere I read of a quote that said, human beings change when they are appreciated. So probably we can remember that the next time you see a weakness in somebody, instead of hammering it, with criticism and negativity, we probably need to spray some appreciation around the weakness first, especially with our children, because we are building their sense of self-knowledge, self-acceptance, self-confidence, which will help them in their future. That has been so insightful, and it has been a very insightful conversation. We've actually come to the end of it. Paul, you have shown us so many good ways into the idea of self-knowledge for career success. What I've picked up from you is that we have a personality. We were born with it, and the more we spend time learning about our strengths and weaknesses, we are doing ourselves a favor. Because when we do that, we'll be able to understand our uniqueness, and when we understand our uniqueness, we'll be able to place ourselves where we are celebrated more than where we are either competing or in comparison or even photocopying, like you said earlier. So I think my take to everybody is that let us strive to improve our self-knowledge, and for those of us who are raising children who are growing up to make good decisions about their future, let us help them improve their self-knowledge. Let us work with people who are in the field helping. For example, with Paul, he can help with the personality tests to understand yourself. Actually, I didn't start off by explaining why this session came about, Paul. 3 weeks ago, we had a virtual conversation with young children from 3s and from 4s, and they came up with this question. One of them came up with a question: how do I analyze myself? And you remember when I talked to you about it, you explained about the self-knowledge. So you can see parents or any students who are here, young people want to know more about themselves. They are curious, they want to understand where do they fit in the world of work, where are their strengths, where are their weaknesses. So let's just spend time understanding this topic of self-knowledge, self-acceptance, building our own strengths, improving on our weaknesses, so that we benefit ourselves and also benefit our children for the sake of their future and success in careers. I think Paul mentioned very clearly how self-knowledge is connected with career success, because when you're in a career that is connected to who you are, you will be able to do what you do best without feeling like without FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah. So I don't know whether you have any parting shots for us, Paul, before we close the meeting.
My parting shot is, let's endeavor to help those around us know themselves better. But for us to be able to help others, we must know ourselves. I want to challenge and encourage everybody listening to us to this evening to actually start self-knowledge or self-discovery journey. If you have not done, please see us. And by the way, if you have a group of parents that would want to know that, or a group of people that want to learn more about themselves, we have a fully fledged training program called Self and Business Transformation. And we can deliver it to your team, to your group, to your workplace, or even to your children. Because when people learn together, they even learn better. But where one wants to learn as an individual, we are more than happy to assist with one-on-one coaching. And you can be sure you will receive great help. And from there, live a happy life, fulfilled and purposeful living. Thank you,
Awesome.
Edna. That was great having this opportunity to talk to us about ourselves.
Yes, and maybe you can do this again so we can see your contact.
No, I'll completely go away now that I'm done.
Yes,
I'm
so
out.
if you'd like to meet Paul,
Screenshots.
or if you'd like to have a hold of him, please, there are the full contacts, the company name, his mobile number, his email, and even the website. Hey, I think you can come back now, Paul. So everybody,
I thought we are done.
I want to thank everyone for coming and the active participation we've had this evening. I hope you are going away with a lot of information that can help you and help your children as well. as I started off by saying, ZinduaKaria does these kinds of talks frequently. We actually have one coming up next week. So please follow up on our social media. We are on Facebook, ZinduaKaria. So the name of ZinduaKaria is ZinduaKaria, ZinduaKaria. So you can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And also follow me, Edna Semiti. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and because I post always and I invite people for the talks that we are having. Another thing that we are doing and I'd like to talk to you about is something I'm doing with Winnie, who has been actively participating today. We have started a club in schools called Music and Career Club. Please, if you're interested in it, see us. We can talk about it. Or Winnie, do you want to say something before we shut off the meeting about the Music and Career Club? Unmute.
Sorry, yeah, just that we need the support to be able to do the work that we are doing, to grow communities, and even just to enlighten with what we're talking about, personality, using music to empower children at a young age, and talking to them about their careers, just giving them that knowledge at a young age will turn them into better individuals for the future. So just the same way we are talking about empowering others and bringing out their strengths through their giftings. So we need all the support that you can give us, spread the good word, so that any support that we are asking you to give us, please just help us to give better back to the community, especially the young learners. Yes.
Yes. So the Music and Career Club is meant to help children who are going to schools of poor families, and we have targeted this time culminating to a Christmas concert so that we can give them Christmas gifts and we can help them pay school fees, those that don't have. Then we teach them about careers and they'll play some music, some instruments, so that they can develop creativity skills, confidence, self-confidence, and even have that joy. We want to bring that joy to the children. We've opened an Mchanga account and we are accepting cash donations just to help us pull off this project successfully. So please follow us on the social media, ZinduaKaria and Edna Semiti, and also Winton House of Music, where there is all information about the club, where you can support us, or even give us some heads up, some encouragement, because we need that. Yes, so we've come to the end. I don't see any more comments. I just see a lot of thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, Paul and Edna. Thank you, Paul and Edna, for this great information. You're welcome. Such a great session. Thank you, Paul and Coach Edna. Thank you, guys. It seems like we've all gained so much from it. I want to wish everybody a great evening, a good night, and great understanding yourself. Paul, keep on doing the great job of helping people understand themselves and building self-confidence in their lives. We shall surely bring more and more people along your way so that you can help us enlighten. The meeting was on record, so it's being recorded. We're going to put it up on ZinduaKaria TV YouTube channel, and then we will circulate it. So please, when you get it, just if you want to listen to it some more, please do subscribe to our channel, like the video and comment, and even share it around. With that, I would like to say good night, everybody, and see you again when you join our next interviews that will come along. And Paul, all the best in all that you're doing. Winnie, I'll see you soon.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Edna, and bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you, Paul.
Night.
Thank you, Edna. Bye-bye.